So we are here to stand against mass incarceration, police brutality, and government corruption. Before Chief Public Safety Officer Brandy Carney decides the public comment period is secondary in her priorities this morning, we are specifically here to let you know that we hold your office accountable for the conditions that led to the 9 deaths this past year in the county jail.
Yesterday, I visited the Charles H. Wright Museum in Detroit, and as I went through the bow of the slave ship and saw the people chained and crammed together, the women denied rights and young children denied food, and the filth that they endured for people to make money, I thought about the Cuyahoga County Jail system and the similarities. The overcrowding, pregnant women on the floor, women denied menstrual pads, young teens denied the basic nutritional requirements for proper brain growth and development, juvenile visitation rooms that don't allow parents and children to bond, no games, no vending machines, and the children saying how hungry they are to parents that are helpless to do anything about it. Humans are being denied basic sanitary conditions, no soap or toilet paper, and then allowed to work in kitchens where rats and roaches scurry through the food source. People with terminal cancer dying while awaiting sentencing. People detained not because they are guilty, but because they are poor.
Inmates are not being issued clean clothes or a shower when their clothes are soiled. There was absolutely no documentation provided to the state government regarding use of force. Unlabeled chemicals being stored in areas accessible to inmates. Virtually every cell size is overoccupied. There's supposed to be 50 square feet of dormitory space and 35 square feet of day space per inmate. So cells that were built to hold 2 people are holding 3, cells that were built to hold 3 people are holding 4, and so on. The constant use of red zoning, people being locked in their cells for up to 22 hours a day, like they're in a maximum security situation, just because the jail is understaffed and that's the only way that they can keep track of everyone. A number of units have non-functioning toilets and lavatories. It's the same building, and I imagine that a lot of the offices of people in this room probably have functioning bathrooms. All areas of the jail were found to be highly unsanitary, including food preparation areas, insects all throughout dormitories and shower areas, mice and vermin in food storage areas. Yes, well, I think I've painted a clear enough picture, but basically, a lot of these violations are simple things like the fire code, things that any small business would be shuttered for violating. And so I'm just curious why that's acceptable for a government building that's housing thousands of people. And seeing as apparently 13 or so of the standards have been addressed, I would be curious to know if the people in this room are aware of what actually has changed in the last few months. Thank you.
As per the last meeting, we don't even have clear and current records of who is in the jail at a given moment or anything about the demographics of those being held due to a complete lack of data collection. But we know who's being targeted. People of color, poor people, people with mental health conditions are being targeted. But the fact that there is no standardized data collection is outrageous, and something needs to be done.
Cash bail and pretrial detention contribute to overcrowding at the jail. Overcrowding has contributed to these 9 tragic deaths and also to an unknown number of abusive incidents, some of which we've all gotten to witness on video. So my proposal is that the county immediately stop using cash bail as a condition of release for nonviolent offenders, and to immediately identify the inhabitants of the jail who are in for pretrial detention for nonviolent offenses and let them out. They are innocent until proven guilty. Let them out. Poverty is not a crime.
The problems at the jail require more than nurses and staff. The problems at the jail require cultural competency, mental health training, empathy, and swift action. We should not be just meeting to talk about changes. We should be swiftly making changes. The life of our community depends on it.
Mr. O'Malley was elected because of crimes, at least in part, because of crimes that were perpetuated on the black community, especially in the case of Tamir Rice. Now, I stand here today because we have seen that the reforms that other states have made in states and counties with more dense bureaucracies, larger populations, and more complicated structures of governance have been made, and we are lagging behind. We ask the question why this is, and we are here basically to hold Mr. O'Malley accountable for the changes not made and the changes that he has promised.
So I pose just a few questions for the council. What more can you do to actually address the needs of the people that are at the root cause of the crime? To use your power to lift people out of the economic exploitation, trauma, and/or disease that led to the crime? And how can you tackle institutionalized racism and the for-profit prison industry that targets our county? What can each of you do towards these ends? And if you're not up to that task, then you are in over your head, so please resign.
There is no justice at this justice center. It is the same system of white supremacy that supports an inactive committee in meeting unconcernedly just once a quarter, while calling that a strategy for addressing deaths, negligence, physical abuse, racial discrimination, and serious overcrowding of the county jail. The eyes of the country are on Cleveland and Cuyahoga County. The over-reliance on and overpopulation of our prison system is one of the greatest shames to this city. The jails of Cuyahoga County are not even meeting the minimum standards for jails in Ohio. The way we as a community address this injustice speaks volumes to our willingness to challenge white supremacy. Are we going to allow Armand Budish and his shell of a committee to continue perpetuating white supremacy? Or are we going to demand change, demand transparency, and demand accountability to the people of this county? Thank you.
Thank you.